Design is, for me, always going to be about why something needs to exist, who's going to use it, and does it really have a reason to exist out there. It really comes down to being extremely intentional, being extremely contextual. Who's using it? Why are they using it? Why do they need it? The use and the function and the need and the desire for these things is absolutely critical. My name's Jesse Hill. I'm an industrial designer, product designer, furniture designer, creative. I run and operate Hill Studio, which is a design studio based in Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore to me is sort of about this intersection of these absolutely amazing, beautiful brownstone style buildings, meeting with some of these like decrepit, beat down train tracks and some of these old factories and warehouses that were once filled with people developing or manufacturing things. So you kind of have this tie and alignment with like deep history, meeting sort of this newer urbanization, meeting industrial factories and all of this stuff sort of collides in a lot of ways. So that's a huge inspirational factor for me. I find myself constantly walking around and seeing where these sort of gaps and overlaps are within sort of the structures we're surrounded by. So like when an old brick building hits a new paved sidewalk and sort of that textural change, that color and material change, those things, these are the things that we use all the time as designers when we develop products. How does upholstery match and meet up with this small detail of wood? It's no different than probably somebody thinking about where a lamppost needs to be placed or something in the sort of built environments around us. Typically, our approach when working with clients really ranges. It can start with research, start with sketching. We build all sorts of prototypes, and that can really be like 3D printing, hand sketching or rendering, loose 3D models, foam core, cardboard, you name it, to really just communicate the idea ultimately at the end of the day. I would say my design approach revolves around the user in the sense, because I'm constantly dealing with research and data and talking to people and hearing user and market feedback and really trying to consider all of these constraints, right, and these elements that contribute to developing a product. But what my job is and what I'm working on to do is to sort of refine that and filter it down. So I think the best way I could describe it is filtered simplicity. I think it's really easy to add in too many details to something. If you really get down to what something needs to do, then you have a little bit more flexibility to refine that down to what you think its archetype or aesthetic should be. And oftentimes, the simpler the better. If you look at even the most timeless design, it's pretty simple. And it's because it's very well thought. And I think the word overthought is a funny word to use sometimes because I guess it's suggesting you can go too far in analyzing something to develop it, but sometimes that overthinking actually lets you arrive on a simpler solution. And so filtering down, focusing on flexible uses, and really keeping it simple.